Hi, everyone, and welcome to tonight's virtual panel for Boston College. This is part 3 of 7 weeks where we're doing virtual sessions that kind of get you in depth with a certain part of Boston College that really makes it the university that it is. Tonight, we'll be talking about student organizations and social life at Boston College. So this is designed by the Student Admission Program. My name is Jackie Geller, and I'm going to be your moderator for today. A little intro about me. I'm one of the creators of these programs. I'm also a senior at Boston College, where I major in communication in the Morrissey College of Arts and Sciences, and I minor in finance in our Carroll School of Management, and I'm originally from Manalapan, New Jersey. I am joined by 2 other undergraduates at the moment who do different extracurriculars on campus, as well as one BC faculty member who is really interested in answering the questions that you may have today. So before I turn it over to them to do their introductions, I'll do a brief intro about social life and student organizations at BC. Then I'll have my panelists do their introductions, and then we really want to answer the questions that you want answered. So basically, if you look at the bottom of your screens, you'll see a Q&A button. Feel free to click on that and submit any questions that you have throughout the next 45 minutes to an hour. We'll try to get to as many as possible. So for some general information about Boston College, we are actually not located in Boston. We are located in Chestnut Hill, Massachusetts. And depending on where you're going in the city, we're about 7 to 10 miles away from Boston. Our students really tend to love this because it gives us the benefits of having our own campus, but we also have very easy access to Boston for sports, entertainment, internships, and everything in between. Additionally, we are a Jesuit Catholic university, and one of our Jesuit mottos is Cura Personalis, which translates to care of the whole person. And while education is most definitely at the forefront of Boston College, in order to really have that well-rounded undergraduate experience, we have a lot of student organizations for students to take part of. And while we do not have Greek life on campus, that is easily supplemented by the 300 plus student organizations that we have. And if you have an interest in anything, we probably have the club for that. That ranges from performing arts to journalism to social activism, volunteering and service, leadership, and so much more. And if we don't have a club that you're interested in, it's not impossible to make one as well, which is really awesome. So that is enough from me. I'm going to hand it over to our panelists. They're going to do a little introduction. So we'll start with Harrison, and you can give us your name, your grade, your major, your minor, your hometown, and also what organizations you're a part of.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So I'm Harrison Bernhardt. I'm a senior. I'm a history major with a minor in management and leadership. I'm from Concord and Bedford, Massachusetts. Moved around a little bit since I got to BC. And then in terms of what I do on campus, in terms of organizations, I'm the marketing co-chair for RHA, which is the Resident Hall Association. We throw events like we tie-dyed bucket hats for Marathon Monday, or ice cream socials, coffee pop-up stands, or we'll do like targeted events with freshmen in their residential dorms. And then I'm also the president of RGBC, which is a much smaller club, but it's the retro gaming club at Boston College. And it's just a bunch of kids on campus that like to play video games here and there in between class. And it's a nice little break from our day.
Okay, awesome. I love the contrast of the 2 clubs. Harrison, I remember like it was freshman year when you got involved in the Residence Hall Association, because we lived in the same exact residence hall, and it feels like yesterday. I cannot believe that we're seniors now, but I will not dwell on that information. I'm interested, like, what was it like getting involved in such a big organization like RHA as a freshman?
Yeah, so I think RHA does a really good job integrating their freshmen, because they have a program called RHC, which is like under the umbrella program of RHA, to where when you're a freshman, you kind of run for positions in your dorm. Like, for example, I lived in a dorm called Duchesne, and I ran and I became the marketing chair. And then there was also a president and a student advocacy leader. And then when you get into that situation, you kind of do everything that the umbrella club does at a much smaller form. Like, you'll run events in your dorm, you get funding, you get to advertise, you get to make flyers, Instagram, have general members. It's like a very small version of the whole club. And then you go to gen body meetings Monday night every other week from like 8 to 9. It's a very low commitment for the rest of the umbrella organization. And you kind of just get to see how the whole club works. And then after that, you decide if you want to stay in. And there's a bunch of different councils that you can join that are more targeted towards certain grades, or you can join the community engagement where they're more in charge of like service and connecting with other organizations at BC. I went from the residence hall to SLC to, I'm going to use a lot of words here, to fellowship, to now I'm the co-marketing chair of marketing. And it's been really good. I love the organization, so I'll be happy to answer any other questions about it.
All right, awesome. Thanks, Harrison. Christina, if you can introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. My name's Christina. I'm from Sarasota, Florida. I'm a senior here at BC. I'm an accounting major in the Carroll School of Management, and I'm also a math minor in the Morrissey College of Arts and Science. So I am currently the treasurer of Boston College Dance Ensemble. We're a dance team of about 30 girls, which Jackie was also on for 2 years. And we do jazz, ballet, like a little bit of hip hop and contemporary. And it's just like a really fun group of girls and a fun, welcoming community. So I really enjoyed that. And then also at my time at BC, I've been a tour guide. I was a wellness coach at the Office of Health Promotion, which is a really great organization just to really help students, because college is a very scary time and lots of changes. And it's just nice to have that additional support. So we would kind of be guides, more so a guide than a therapist, just helping students that want to meet one-on-one and have issues that they want to talk about, and just kind of be an ear for them to talk to. And then also I tutor at the Student Athlete Academic Services in accounting. Just, it's a great way to get involved, make a little money on campus. It's a really awesome organization as well.
Okay, awesome, Christina. Thank you so much. So Boston College celebrates its arts very often. We have so many events on campus, like Week of Dance, Arts Fest, ALC Showdown, and obviously Dance Ensemble has their spring show, which I'm extremely excited to watch. But I'm just wondering, like, can you pick one of your favorites and kind of just explain how that looks for students?
I would definitely say, well, near to us, Week of Dance is absolutely incredible. So it's a 1 week, the first week in December, where all the dance teams kind of have performances throughout this whole week. And then on Friday and Saturday, all of the dance teams, we have about, I think, like 14 and growing, maybe more. There's so much arts at this school. It's incredible, the talent for a university that's not a performing arts school. But our dance teams are amazing, and we all perform in a show on Friday and Saturday called Week of Dance. And so Dance Ensemble has a jazz set and a contemporary set. And it's just so much fun to see the other teams, and everyone's cheering each other on. So that's kind of like the first taste of dance in the school year, in the fall semester. So, and then it just only gets better with Showdown in the spring.
Thank you so much. We didn't get to have Week of Dance last year because of COVID, but I am so excited for this year. I will most definitely be in the audience in Robsham Theater cheering you guys on. So I'm so excited. Before we get to Dillon, I just want to remind everyone that to please submit your questions for the Q&A at the bottom of your screens if you have any questions. I know that we already have a few coming in, which is very exciting, but feel free to keep submitting those. All right, Dillon, go ahead.
Thank you, Jackie. Hi, everyone. My name is Dillon Gay. I'm originally from Loudoun County, Virginia, and I'm a first-year master's student in the Lynch School of Education and Human Development. I'm getting my master's in higher education student affairs, and I currently work in the Office of Student Involvement, which oversees all of the clubs and organizations on campus. And I specifically work within the Leadership Development Division. So I help facilitate a variety of different programs geared towards leadership.
Right, awesome. And I know that like with those kinds of programs, a couple of the ones that we have are the Emerging Leader Program, also known as ELP, or Leadership, where freshmen are also able to join that. So Dillon, my question kind of with that is, from what you've seen, is it hard for students to make friends in those kinds of programs, or is it even hard for them to become leaders of those groups as well?
That's a great question. I think in terms of forming connections, one of the great things about those programs is that while you're pursuing your own leadership development and formation, you're building and forming connections with people along the way and doing that because you have that common purpose. And so we really try to align these programs along with the social change model and servant leadership. So there's a lot of opportunities to, one, practice and develop your leadership skills while also making meaningful and lasting connections. And so I think that in terms of becoming leaders within these programs, I think as long as you are engaging and you're applying yourself and really putting in what you want to get out, then you're going to be able to become a shining leader.
Amazing. Thank you so much. All right, I am seeing so many questions in this Q&A. I'm really excited to get to them. One that has caught my eye already is it hard to balance social life with clubs and things like that with schoolwork? I think that's a phenomenal question, especially because we have so many clubs on campus to take advantage of. So does anyone want to answer that?
I can. So I think since my time at BC freshman year, I've done a lot of different clubs and I've kind of jumped around. I'm also a Kairos leader this year. I didn't mention that earlier. For anyone who goes to Jesuit high school, they probably know what that is. It's a religious retreat that happens a lot throughout the year. But I think in terms of like overcommitting yourself, I think there is a lot of like freshman year, there's so many clubs to join with there being over like 300 organizations, like Jackie said, that it can kind of be hard to like pick one and then you apply like a bunch of them, and you get some, you don't get some. But I think most clubs do a really good job of like, you can be like a gen member in a lot of clubs. If you're a freshman and you're a little bit worried about overcommitting to too much time in one club, you can kind of have a lower commitment in these clubs. Like for example, for RHA, like the Gen Bod members have a meeting once every other week for an hour. And you do really still feel like you're part of the club. And there's other things that happen throughout the club that you can either decide to go to or not decide to go to. But overall, it's really good to get yourself out there and be involved in a bunch of different clubs, but then also at the same time, like kind of reel it back and decide like what you want to prioritize.
Yeah, and adding to that and giving a different perspectives. So you can definitely be kind of just a general member and go in and give a taste. But as a dance team member, I'm seeing a lot of questions about like the audition process and male dance teams. So I guess I'm going to answer that with my answer. All of the dance teams, I believe all of them have audition processes. You can be a dancer your whole life. You can be a first-time dancer. We have every style that you could possibly imagine. And if you want to create a dance club, feel free to. And yeah, like all genders, like it's everything, and everyone loves the dance teams. But it's definitely a great part because the dance teams really become part of your social life as well. So everyone's so understanding. Like if you do have to miss like a dance practice for an exam or paper, life's going on, and everyone's just so understanding. So it's definitely more people in your corner rather than something that's like difficult to balance and that you're struggling with, because everyone is just so like, they're just willing to help you and they're all on your side.
Okay, awesome. I see this other question about explaining how the club fair works. So basically once a year at Boston College, it's one of my favorite traditions on campus. It's called the Student Involvement Fair that we have, where I'll just give like a brief overview and then people can kind of jump in after that. But essentially every single club on campus gets a table out on Stokes lawn, and basically it is their job to recruit as many freshmen and sophomores to kind of join their email list. So people are throwing so much free things that you like don't even grab lunch that day, because you're going to be getting so many free snacks and free t-shirts and free merchandise and things like that. And it's like a really great way as a freshman, especially as a freshman, to go through those lines and meet all those different clubs. But if any of you guys want to kind of talk about like what it's like for your club this year, especially because we actually were able to have a version of the Student Involvement Fair this year.
I can speak a little bit more broadly about the fair because it's put on through the office that I work in. So I was able to actually work it start to finish this year. It's just a really great opportunity to see what's available to all students. And so when you show up to the fair, you will get, there will be a map or a directory showing you where each organization is based off of what type of organization it is. So social, service, leadership, that kind of stuff. And it's really a great place to just kind of dip your toe in the pool and really be able to gauge what you're interested in joining. And so I know that I'm seeing a lot of questions about club sports as well. And so that's where a lot of the club sports will market their tryout processes and all that kind of thing. And so it's just a really great place to go where all the clubs, all the active organizations on BC's campus will be in one place. So the fair also lasts about 5 to 6 hours. So it's really easy to just go in between classes and all that kind of stuff. And it was in person this year, which was great. So it's just a really cool opportunity. It's a very lively environment. And like Jackie said, you're going to get a lot of free stuff to entice you to join different organizations and stuff.
Right, awesome. Thanks, Dillon. I love this next question. It's basically just asking what social life is like at BC. So if you guys can kind of just go into like what you would do on a Friday night, whether that's at BC or going into Boston, like maybe one of your favorite things to do with friends. I can also get us started with this one. I know that it's a lot to ponder on. Okay, so let me think. Last weekend, I would say my friends and I always love doing this. We have a spot in Boston called the North End. Essentially, every single student in Boston College knows that. But basically, it's this, I think it's like maybe even 2 streets, but it's just lined with some of the best Italian food ever. Literally, there's restaurants everywhere. So my friends and I will always go. One of my best friends and I actually on campus, we make it a tradition that once a month we go into the North End and we pick a new restaurant to try out because every single one is so amazing. And then we always end the night with cannolis. There's Mike's pastry and there's modern pastry, and everyone always fights over which one's better. My little secret to all of you is that modern pastry is better. I don't know how these panelists feel about that, but I'm a big modern girl. But that is just something that my friends and I love to do in Boston.
Yeah, no, definitely. North End's incredible. Please, everyone should go, regardless if you come to Boston or not. You should please go. So I have my car on campus, which has been really nice. And it's just definitely been a really easy senior year, like getting around places. But my roommates and I, this past weekend, we went to Newbury Street and we just kind of spent the day walking around. And then also we actually, like, one of my roommate, her boyfriend goes to Providence College, so we ventured down there. So it's so nice being around so many places because BU is also in the city, and MIT and Northeastern, and apart from COVID, the colleges kind of just clashed together. So it's just really nice getting to know those people that way. And other fun things to do. Seniors live in these red little houses called the Mods, and there's always like gatherings in there and people just having a really great time. And it just, everyone is so, especially freshman year, everyone just wants to talk to everyone. Like, it's so easy to meet people freshman year. Especially like in the halls too. I remember we were accepting our new freshmen on our dance team, and our tradition is that we go to their dorms after the auditions and give them a flower. And as a senior, people aren't passing me in my dorm asking like, what's my name? Because you're a senior, it's not what you do. But when I was walking down the freshman halls, everyone's like, you guys look great, like, what's your name? And it was just like such a welcoming environment that I honestly really missed from freshman year. So I know there's also questions on that, so maybe I'm not really answering Jackie's question, but meeting people, I think it's one of the easiest parts at BC.
Honestly, Christina, I think that, go ahead, Dillon, please.
Thank you. So I'm not an undergraduate student at Boston, but I moved from Virginia in July up to Boston. So I have also been looking for a lot of really like fun and entertaining things to do. And so to kind of echo Jackie's point, there are a lot of really great local restaurants that are only in Boston. And so it's a really great way to just branch out and try new things. And then trying a lot of different food places can also get very expensive. So the great thing about BC is that there are also a lot of free events that you can attend on Friday nights and the weekends. I know in my office, we've held events like concerts, and then um, like other just fun activities that really just get you involved in the community, especially among first year students, and this year also a lot of sophomore students as well. And then one other thing that I recently discovered is all of the different sports that BC has at the collegiate level. Me and a couple of my friends went to the BC versus UNC Chapel Hill soccer game on this past Sunday. And that event was completely free, and it was such a fun environment. And it was really fun to just watch these student athletes compete. So I think there's a lot of different things that can be done on the weekends. And so there's a little bit of everything for everyone there.
All right, amazing. Christina touched upon freshmen. We can talk about that for a little bit. One of it's not really a tradition at BC, but it's something that BC does every single year. We call it Freshman Week. Essentially, all the freshmen get to move onto campus around 2 to 3 days before all the other grades do, which is really awesome because you have the entire campus to yourself. My roommate, actually, her younger brother just started BC this year, and he was telling us about how he just used the empty campus to go around with some of his roommates and check out his classrooms and things like that. So you can definitely do that. But do any of you have a memory of freshman week, whether that's the Target run or just meeting other people on your floor that you would like to share?
I can answer this. So at least looking back towards freshman week, my freshman year, I lived on Newton campus. And I don't know, just when I moved in and I was on a completely different campus, I kind of felt like, oh, how am I don't know, am I going to get used to the bus? And I really spent those first 3 days taking the bus onto campus, finding out where all the, I'm from Boston, so I had come to BC for football games before, and I kind of knew the campus, but Newton campus was completely new to me, and just walking around, like Jackie said, finding out your classes, finding out what specific dorms are. So the first day of school, you're not running up to some random kid being like, which building is this, and also even off of that, most people are really friendly, and it's kind of funny when a freshman comes up to you and asks what building are you going to, and it's it's that one. But I don't know. I think that first couple 3 days is really nice to just make yourself feel at home before everyone else kind of piles in.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially the dining halls too. It's such a great way to meet people. The amount of tables that I would sit down where people were there and I did not know them, but I was like, hi, I'm Christina. Nice to meet you. Everyone just wants to meet everyone. So yeah, the dining halls are a really great place. Definitely just in your halls. I met one of my best friends in our communal bathroom. It's a good place to meet people, especially where you live too. You'll get most people will get close to the people that they live with on their floor, because the RAs will have host weekly events just where everyone gets together and kind of talks about their day and their week and what's going on, and just a debrief. So your RA is definitely always a person to reach out to as well.
Amazing. And Harrison mentioned Newton campus, so I'll actually just go into freshman campuses really quick because I do see that we have a couple of questions about that. So when you are a freshman, you get placed in either upper campus or Newton campus. Upper campus is directly next to all of our academic buildings on campus. So you're right near main campus. Christina lived there her freshman year, and 60% of freshmen live on upper campus. 40% of freshmen live on Newton campus. So that is around a 5 to 7 minute bus ride from BC's main campus. BC provides the busing. It goes all day, every day to and from Newton campus to main campus. So it's never been a problem for students. And Harrison and I both lived in Duchesne Hall, which is located on Newton campus, and 40% of freshmen live there. What I can say, it's very hard to kind of sell you on both campuses because you can't see it virtually, but all the freshmen love wherever they live. So essentially every single senior year, the seniors get polled. And the question is, if you could relive your freshman year, where would you live? And believe it or not, 60% say upper and 40% say Newton. Some of my best friends that I made my freshman year and still my best friends to this day, they were on upper campus, and they will go down saying that upper campus was superior. I will go to my grave saying that Newton was the best campus ever. So you really make that community wherever you are. I think that all of my panelists can say that as well. It's just a really great place to live. And obviously, no matter what campus you're on, you're going to make friends either way on both campuses, which is absolutely wonderful. Okay, another question that we have is about transportation into Boston. So if any of you want to take that, essentially maybe talk about the T system that we have on campus and how easy it is for students to get on and things like that.
I could talk about this. So as a master's student, I live off campus. And so I have become very close with the T. The T is Boston's version of like the New York City subway or the DC Metro. It's just a train that runs in and around the Boston area. And so it's really nice because there are a couple stops that are really close to BC. So one is just a short walk around the reservoir, and then you can also take the shuttle there. And there's also one at the end of the lower campus. And so those will take you on direct lines into the city, and then they'll bring you back into the city. And they also run pretty much throughout the entire day. And then closer to like 11 or 12 on weekdays, they'll close down, and then they'll be open a little later on the weekends. So it's a really great way to get around. And then within the T, there's the rail system, but then there are also buses and taxis and that kind of stuff that you can take. So there are a lot of different options for people to take, which is really great. I know that the T has been really helpful for me just getting to and from places like the grocery store. So it feels like everything's close yet also super far at the same time. So having the T there is really helpful because it's a pretty efficient way to get around the area.
I can also talk about this just really briefly. For one of the other clubs that I'm in, the Retro Gaming Club, we actually use the T to travel into Alston every single Thursday. So like it's really cheap, it's really easy, and it comes to the bottom of our campus. So you don't have to like take a bus to anywhere to take the T. You can quite literally just walk out of your dorm, walk down to lower campus, and you just get on the T. And in terms of like public transportation, you can pretty much get anywhere. Like you can get all the way into Boston, and then there's a bunch of different green line, red line, yellow line. You can pretty much get anywhere. I love it. So.
Okay, awesome. And yes, absolutely. I will say the T is your best friend. It has been my best friend ever since freshman year. You do not need a car on campus. We do get that question a lot. You can certainly have a car on campus. I would say sometimes people start bringing a car on campus their junior year if they really, really want one, and some keep it their senior year. But I would say like even as a freshman, no matter like what club you're in, especially if you're in a big one, you're bound to meet an upperclassman who has a car on campus. So if you ever need their help to take you somewhere, they'll be more than happy to do that. But I would say the majority of us get by with just taking the T because it is so convenient, especially when it is right across from our campus. We are getting a couple questions about sports. So I think we have a lot that people can talk about right now. You guys can talk about intramurals, club sports events like Beanpot or something like that. Boston College is a Division I sports school, which is really exciting. And we're actually in the middle of our football season right now, which is so great because not only do students and professors love it, but so many alumni come back. I think on our first football game, I met someone and he was telling about how he graduated BC back in 1970. So it's like kind of crazy, but you just meet so many people, which is awesome. So if anyone wants to talk about like their sports experience at BC, that would be absolutely phenomenal.
Okay. I can talk about like just really quickly like intramurals. I've done volleyball, kickball, basketball, soccer, flag football. I've pretty much done every intramural that there is on campus. They're super easy to get into. Like I remember my freshman year, I just made like 2 or 3 intramural teams with just my floor. And just as you meet friends and go throughout your life at Boston College, like you'll probably get the chance. Like there's softball. I mean, literally any sport you can think of. Racquetball, they probably have an intramural season. It's a lot of fun because you compete for like mugs, and a lot of people really want to get this BC mug that says you're the champion of blank intramural. One of my friends used to brag all the time. They lived in the mods last year and they had like a whole cabinet just full of mugs. It was a little bit too much, but you know, there's that for everyone. And then for BC experiences, Jackie brought up the Beanpot. And I believe someone's question was like, do you interact with other BC like or schools in the Boston area. I think the Beanpot is a really good example of us interacting with like Harvard and BU and UMass, right? Yeah. It's just a really fun experience. Oh, Northeastern, my bad, you're right. It's just a really good experience to meet a bunch of other kids, and there's a lot of like trash talk at the game, and it's just fun. Beanpot is definitely one of my favorite experiences.
Yeah, no, definitely Beanpot's really fun. I have some friends from home that go to Northeastern, and the slander of just us shouting to each other, it's all in good humor, but it's definitely fun. And then also to Harrison's point about intramurals, I'm seeing some questions. You don't need any sports experience. You just kind of show up and play. I'm on a flag football team. Like I said, I'm a dancer. I do not play flag football. I love it. It's every Wednesdays, and I have so much fun. I have it later today. It's incredible. So definitely recommend signing up for intramurals. Just make a team with random people. It's an awesome time. And then also to talk about, Jackie said we're in the middle of our football season. Incredible time. We have tailgating in the like parking lot area, like near the mods and outside of the stadium. And professors will have like tents and food, and families will have like tents and food, and alumni, and it's everybody's there, and the sun is always shining, and it's an incredible time to just hang out before the game and talk to everybody and game days are really fun. I think there's like a bar school like sports stat where I think we were like in top like 2 or something for best student sections of game days. So we're very spirited. We're excited for our game this weekend. If you're in Boston, you should find a way to come.
Okay, love to hear it. I am going to ask this question. It is related to our panel next week, so I'll give a little plug that next week's panel is about traditions at BC. But the question is just like, what is your favorite BC tradition? We have so many on campus, so I'll give all of you a little time to like mull that over in your minds. I will go over the most recent tradition that we had at BC, which was literally this past weekend, and it was amazing. So it's called Marathon Monday, and it is the Boston Marathon. So essentially, Boston College's campus is so unique because we are mile 21 out of the 26.2 miles in this marathon. So essentially, students will get up at the crack of dawn and line the streets of Commonwealth Avenue, which is right outside of BC's main campus, and we'll just cheer on the runners. And it's really exciting. I don't know, like I have never run a marathon, so I can't speak to them, but I do know that mile 20 is a hill. So after they get off that hill, they are literally greeted by thousands of college students just screaming at them and cheering them on. I've lost my voice. I was telling this to Harrison earlier, like I don't sound like this normally, but I was cheering so much that I literally lost my voice this weekend. But it's a great tradition that BC is a part of, and I think that it really makes us like really unique in that respect. But if anyone else has any other traditions they want to share, that would be awesome.
I can speak to Showdown. I know that was mentioned briefly, but I don't know if you guys know what it is. So Showdown happens usually in April. It's where all the dance teams compete against each other, and each dance team comes up with a 5-minute piece with some theme, and we perform in Conti. And so it's sold out every year. 5,000 people are in the stadium, like screaming and shouting. Performing, I think, was my most thrilling moment in my life, even though I only did it freshman year because COVID happened, so it never happened. But Jackie was with me right there on the stage, and it was incredible, and it had a really electric feeling, and it's just so competitive too because we're cheering on the other dance teams, but of course you want a dance ensemble to win. And so I definitely think that's my favorite BC memory, and I'm so excited to have it again for my senior year.
I was going to do Marathon Monday, but Jackie did it, and then I was going to do Showdown. So I'm losing on all my situations here, but I can at least talk about Showdown from a perspective of the student not dancing. Showdown is electric. I don't know, that's a dramatic way to put it, but just being in our stadium in Conti, and like you can feel the speakers, like you can feel it in your heart. It's like pounding because the music is so loud. And it's a really, really fun thing to go to. There's a bunch of dance performances throughout the entire year, like you mentioned before, but that's like the one that I think, if I remember correctly, my freshman year, like taking the bus to go get to it, everyone was just so excited on the way there, and then on the way back, everyone was still screaming. Definitely a really good experience. Plus the Beanpot. I mean, there's so many traditions at BC that are just that you look forward to every single year that I think, especially us seniors, like haven't had in a while, and we're so excited to have them again. So yeah.
And if I can add one more, also during Christmas time, like final start right at the beginning of December, so you kind of hate your life a lot. And they put a Christmas tree up in like the gas and quad, and there's this one night where they light the Christmas tree, and there's hot chocolate and Santa, and the a cappella group sing, and it's just like a very magical night before really everything comes crashing with finals. But I think that is one of my favorite BC traditions too.
Absolutely. It is so nice when BC like throws in some events and traditions, especially during the exam season, because it is super stressful. Also not a tradition, but I do love that BC gives out like free coffee during exams, because I feel like that's just the best part of like waking up in the morning, being like, okay, I'm up in the morning early, but you know what? I have free coffee waiting for me, so it's fine. This question also has to do with social life, which I love, but it's basically just like kind of geared towards my senior. So I'll ask you guys this question, but the question is just, do seniors live on campus? And something that I love about BC is that BC has a lot of traditions on campus. And we'll go into more of that next week with our other panelists, but BC is all about ending where you started. That's what it is. It's kind of like a full cycle. So at BC, our freshmen live on campus, our sophomores live on campus, our juniors half live on campus, half live off campus. And a lot of that works out with like study abroad and things like that. But senior year, the majority, I believe it's like 95 to 96% of seniors come back to live on campus every single year, which is great. And yeah, so I guess my question for Harrison and Christina is like, what is that like? Did you guys live off campus last year? What it's like being back on campus and things like that?
I'll go. So I lived off campus last year, which I loved. I lived in a house with like 8 friends, and it was a really good time. Some of my closest friends that I've met at Boston College, having my own room, very nice. And then this year, coming back to BC, I think everyone's excited. So I live in the mods this year, which is basically just these, they're modular units of like 6, where you have a living room, kitchen, and then the upstairs is where everyone lives. But I think the biggest takeaway and the biggest reason why people want to move back to campus senior year is that when you do live in the mods, you have a backyard. You have like actual grass and a grill and like outside patio furniture, and just having neighbors and like all living together. It's like a gated in community of only seniors, which is really nice. I can say that even though I'm a senior, like I'm starting to meet people almost like freshman year again, where like we now are neighbors, so like we have to know each other now. It's like on the weekends, like I'm going to come over and I'm going to say hi. Like you don't have a choice. And it's really just nice also throughout the day. Like at least my mod, we have like some chairs and a hammock outside, and just being able to like do homework outside with a bunch of seniors and people that you know is really nice and rewarding to come back to campus.
Yeah, no, I also lived off campus junior year, but that wasn't by choice. I was supposed to study abroad in New Zealand, but COVID said otherwise, so that did not happen. And so last minute, my friends and I scrambled for a house, which happened to be an incredible house. So it was the 6 of us, and I also had my own room. It was an amazing time. I loved living off campus. I was actually really more so upset to be back on campus. See, like I have a roommate. If you live on campus, there's a roommate. You never get your own room. And I was like actually really bummed, but now I love it because it's like a sleepover, and like we're adults, and it's like kind of silly, but I love it. So it's been awesome. So I did not get a mod, unfortunately, but I live in a Ignacio Hall, also known as Iggy. It's just like an apartment building on campus. It's really fun. I really like it a lot, and I have friends in the mods too, so it's perfect. I always find myself there. And yeah, it's definitely great being back on campus. I feel like, with COVID and everything last year, most of our classes were on Zoom. So like my friends and I joke, like living off campus was our study abroad, because I just really never stepped foot on campus. So it just like feels so right being back and seeing people and running into people. I feel like I was a little bit isolated junior year, but that was only because of COVID. So definitely I recommend living off campus. It was a great time. But I can speak on Harrison's behalf, Jackie's behalf, and Dillon, if he was a senior right now, everyone's glad to be back on campus.
Yeah, most definitely. I actually had 4 years of on-campus housing, so I've been like a BC baby for life. But I've loved it. Okay, I see that. I see that. No, Harrison, no. No, I loved being on campus. I actually have an interesting story because half of my room last year, I didn't really know them. We had an 8-person suite last year. I didn't know half of them, so it was really exciting to kind of like come in and like mesh friend groups and things like that. And now some of them live in my room now as seniors. I live in the same building as Christina, Ignacio Hall. Again, not a mod like Harrison's, but you know what? Iggy's beautiful. Iggy's amazing. And I love having a roommate. So it's just like Christina said, it's like a big sleepover. It's so much fun. We'll have a common room. So we'll have like movie nights, we'll invite friends over, all those different things. So it's just really great to kind of like be back with your grade, but also being on lower campus where a lot of the sophomores, juniors, and seniors live. So like you're just with all the grades. And then obviously as freshmen, it's very, very easy to come to lower campus. Another question that we have is it hard to be friends with people in other grades within the club that you're in? Like, does that make sense? Like, do your clubs like maybe do bonding activities and things like that? Or is it kind of like, the freshmen only talk to freshmen and the sophomores only talk to sophomores? Like, what is your experience been like?
So on dance ensemble, when you come as a freshman, you have an upperclassman buddy, just someone to be there to talk to you, and you get really close with them. And we also have buddy families. And I know a lot of other organizations outside of dance teams. I think SAP also has like some form of buddy families, and like other organizations as well. I know there's like business clubs, cultural clubs, really everything. And yeah, the upperclassmen and underclassmen are very intertwined. It's very, very sad to see some seniors graduate last year, but definitely freshmen don't stick to themselves. It's just one community. There's no like difference between the grades.
I can talk specifically through RHA at least. We actually, so a lot of freshmen that are Gen Bod members they have mentor-mentee pairings, which is basically like you're just assigned like a freshman is assigned a senior or a sophomore is assigned a senior. It's just a really good way to get to know somebody. And then also like, I don't know, if you need help like picking classes or who's the right teacher to take for this, or like where's your like study places. Like there's so many things that these seniors just know that you would never think of as a freshman, that it's just nice to have that resource. And then also like RHA has this and a lot of other clubs has it as well. I think you mentioned, or somebody mentioned families. And like at least RHA has families where like right now I'm a dad technically. And like I have a family of 20 and I'm like the senior and I have like a wife and a husband and I have my kids and my aunts and my uncles. And we actually use these terms just because it's funny. But like I have like a bunch of freshmen that I currently like work with and can reach out to me for a bunch of different things. And we're actually going to an escape room on Saturday, which I'm very excited about. So in general, it's pretty easy to get to know freshmen to seniors, like whether it's through clubs or just dining halls or intramurals, or there's just, because I think somebody also talked about Greek life, and I'm going to touch on it really quickly. I'm sorry, Jackie. I just think that because we don't have Greek life, I love that about our school, because it makes it so that there's no, like at a lot of other schools, you have to rush to be involved socially. And if you don't, you kind of feel left out. Where at BC, like you can really choose the clubs that you want to join, and then you make friends through those clubs. And then you'll like, no club is like, ooh, I don't want to talk to you, you're in this club. Like maybe there's some dance rivalries or like acapella rivalries. I won't lie there, but pretty much there's no like exclusion. Like it's so easy to get involved and it's so easy to get to know people, and it makes people so much more friendly. I love it personally.
Yeah, no, absolutely. To the point of Greek life, thanks for bringing that up. The environment at BC, I feel like I've said this like 85 times. It's just so welcoming. And I feel like, I don't know, not to bash schools with Greek life, but I just feel like there's so much pressure that if you don't do something, you're going to miss out on all of college. And even at BC, even if you don't join a club, you'll still be in so many, like with your floor, and you'll make friends in class, and there's just no like pressure. It's just like all very like happy encouragement, I'd like to think. So I think it just like makes the community like very different. And if that's what you're looking for, I think BC is definitely the place for you, because it is a very different environment. But I really like it a lot, and I love my dance team. And it's also fun because we have something in common too. Like there's so many organizations, like you'll have something in common with everyone. And we're just a bunch of girls that really like to hang out and also dance. And it's so fun.
So I didn't go to BC as an undergrad, as I mentioned before, but I did go to a school that had a very active Greek life happening. And the biggest thing that I've noticed in my time at BC is how people aren't just joining organizations just to socialize. They're joining these organizations to socialize about something that they're passionate about. So kind of what Christina was saying with just a bunch of people who like to dance and hang out and that kind of stuff. I've noticed there's more of an emphasis on doing those like-minded things with people. And so I feel like that helps create stronger relationships because you're bonding over a specific passion or talent that you have. And so I think that's something that's really unique to BC that I've seen so far. And I think that because of that, there's so many opportunities to get involved in the types of things that you want to get involved in, that you're just bound to meet people that you get along with and connect with really well. And so I think that while BC doesn't have Greek life to help facilitate that, it has a lot of really great opportunities to get involved with people with similar interests.
Most definitely. And I think also just to kind of wrap up on this question, I think that some clubs also make it really easy to kind of just like dip your toes in the water if you don't want to fully commit to them. I can rattle off a couple of examples. Last year, for the Christian life community, one of my roommates and one of my greatest friends at Boston College is the president of this club. And I remember she put together an event last year where they went out to like one of the lawns in front of one of our residence halls on campus, and they were doing like spike ball and football. And she was just handing out gift certificates to get free ice cream at the best ice cream place right across the street from BC. And she invited like all my roommates and I to go out and meet her and get those kinds of like things. And like, you know, I didn't have a religious upbringing. I don't have a religious background. Some of my friends go to mass every weekend. Other people don't really have a background like me. And we were all welcome to go. And that was just one great one. I know the dance organization of Boston College puts on like a free dance class every week, which is really cool to kind of join if you just want to do that for fun. And then moreover on that, the swing dance team on campus, I have two of my friends on the council for that. And they've been begging me to kind of try it out and do one of their free classes. And I'm like, very, very scared of swing dance, but maybe if I'm feeling daring this year, maybe I'll try it by the end of my senior year. Okay, and the last question, I'm going to have all of you answer on this. And again, there's a lot of answers, so I'll let you guys kind of ponder it for a moment and I can answer it first. But since Boston College has so many organizations on campus, obviously you can't join all of them. So what is one club that you wish that you did join, that you love so much? Mine is a very, very easy answer. We have an a cappella group on campus called Common Tones. One of my roommates, I have so many roommates right now. I have 5 roommates, but one of mine auditioned as a senior and got in this year, which is very exciting because she just always wanted to get involved and she waited until this year to do it. But she got in Common Tones, a cappella, amazing. Christina, I don't know if you can relate to this, but growing up, people always told me that people dance because dancers can't sing. And in my opinion, that could not be more true for me. I cannot sing to save my life. But I love watching singers. I love listening to them. And I cannot wait to see all their performances. I wish I was just as gifted as them in singing, but that is just one club that I really appreciate on campus and wish I could have gotten involved if I had different talents.
So as I mentioned, I was a wellness coach in health promotion. I did tutoring, tour guide, dance, but I didn't really do anything major specific. And I'm an accounting major for CPA, which means I'm graduating with 150 credits instead of the BC 120 because I want to be a certified public accountant. Don't ask me why, I just like numbers. But a lot of my life is accounting. I'm overloading. I'm taking lots of courses. And I kind of wish I did something more along those lines, like perhaps a business club. There's so many. But nevertheless, you know, I'm still really involved in the business school, but I think that is like, if I had one regret or maybe wanted to do something else, that's what I would do.
I've been thinking. I'm having a hard time coming up with just one. I feel like a lot of the clubs that I freshman year didn't get into, I was kind of a little annoying, and I kept coming back. Like Kairos, for example, is a retreat, right? So you kind of get chosen like via a lottery. So I couldn't just like do that whenever I wanted to, but I ended up getting chosen junior year, and now I'm leading, which is super exciting. I think CLC, which Jackie mentioned earlier, is something that I kind of wish I did. I used to be very religious. When I came to Boston College, it just kind of wasn't like a priority of mine. So joining that club would have been nice. I wish I could sing, so a cappella groups would be cool. But honestly, there's just so many clubs on campus that just nailing it down to one, like I'm super excited with where I am, and I love the clubs I'm involved with, but all of my friends that are involved in completely different clubs probably feel exactly the same. So there's a place for everyone, really.
So again, I didn't go to BC, but if I did, I think that, and this might just be because I'm biased because I'm running this organization this year, but the Emerging Leader Program is just really a great opportunity to kind of just dip your foot in the pool a little bit, just because it's the organization you meet once a week with the other, with a group of 50 first year students. And so it's really great just having time to bond with other students and get dinner with some of the facilitators who are upper class students and just have some really great conversations about how you can grow throughout your time at BC and how you can use the things that you're learning to help contribute to the BC community. So it's just a really great opportunity. And I think that that's something that had I come to BC for my undergrad, it's something I would have loved to have done.
Okay, a phenomenal finish. Thank you, Dillon. I want to thank all of you who are viewing from home tonight. Thank you all so much for tuning in. It was a pleasure answering your questions. I also want to thank my panelists for not only taking time out of their Wednesday night to do this with me, but also taking time out of right now we're in exams right now. This is like our little midterm week. So thank you so much for taking time out of studying to do this. Again, as I mentioned before, we have our next panel next week. It is next Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that is going to be students talking about BC traditions and events. It's going to be really exciting. And of course, I know that we didn't get to everyone's questions tonight. You can see our emails, like our little boxes on the bottom left. So definitely take note of that. Email us if you have any questions. We'd love to keep the conversation going. But other than that, thank you all so much. And I hope you all have a wonderful night. Thank you.